Thanks for tuning in, folks, and welcome back to Wham Talk 1600's Operating Theater. It is the only OR in all talk radio. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our ancillary bunker linked to remain Freedom Bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor. We're here for you live every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. And by the way, this weekend is the 14-year anniversary of Operation Freedom hitting the airwaves. 14 years. Not bad for a show that was supposed to last, according to some of the folks that called our general manager, Linda Hughes, at the time, maybe a month or two because, it was so based on, quote, conspiracy theory. No, maybe conspiracy, but conspiracy reality. As all those ignoramuses learned that called Linda that first couple days after this show went on the air 14 years ago. That's right. And why are we still here today? Because we bring you information you will never get through the bought-off lamestream fake media. You will never get through the independent media. Why? Because I have sources I have developed and cultivated for 36 years behind the curtain that are fighting the totalitarian thugs behind the curtain. And they provide me that information to bring forward. Now, granted, on a radio broadcast, and not because there are any restrictions at Wham. It's the only freewheeling radio station in the country, but because of the FCC that would shut Wham down in a heartbeat if I went certain places and in certain depth. This is why DaveJanda.com exists, because it's uncensored, it's unfiltered, and what are they going to do, shut off my internet feed? And not with the IT team I have. No. We are there for you 24/7 at DaveJanda.com. And we touch on issues on this show, go more in depth if you listen to this show 3 hours on a Sunday, you will hear we go beyond what is discussed on the syndicated radio shows the rest of the week. But it's at DaveJanda.com where I put you months and years ahead of the curve. Become a member of our Freedom family. Why aren't you a member of our Freedom family by subscribing to our premium service content? There is zero reason for you, because every subscriber at DaveJanda.com will tell you, my gosh, I heard this from Janda months ago, years ago. Why is everybody acting like they're so surprised? That's right. Because the bottom line is, folks, we bring you information the bought-off lamestream fake media either ignores because it doesn't fit into their preconceived politically correct bought-off agenda, or because, folks, they're petrified. They are petrified of what might happen if they actually tell you what you need to know. This show is about your freedom, your political, your economic, your financial, and your health care freedom. Now, before I bring our first guest forward, Adriana Reed, who has created, and the team at Camino has created a lifeboat for you for your financial freedom. And this is very important going forward. After Tuesday, that's when the hard part begins, folks. Listen to me. In retrospect, you will look back at the election cycle in spite of all the garbage and say, wow, up until November 5th, that was the easy part. But it got a lot more difficult after November 5th. Yeah, we're going to discuss why. Because of what the cult has in their playbook. But we first got to get through November 5th, folks. And there is an active suppression of Trump supporters occurring in social media and through the media, the bought-off lamestream fake media. And it necessitated a discussion between General Flynn and myself this morning. And we discussed the fear porn psyops polls. You heard about this thing out of Iowa. Oh, Harris is up by 3. Garbage in, garbage out. That pollster is beyond tainted. Let's just put it that way. That's being kind. There was an Emerson College poll that's far more accurate in Iowa that came out last night, right before this garbage started to be released on the internet about Harris up 3. Yeah, okay. In Iowa. That, in fact, Trump is up 10, actually 10.5 if you want to be precise. So here's what General Flynn and I discussed. This fear porn psyops polls and the propaganda being distributed by the bought-off lamestream fake media and doomsayers on social media about Harris, quote, gaining ground, end quote, which is all, folks, in a word, BS, and is being used to suppress Trump voters and independents from voting. No, I can't. Oh, well, we might lose. Stop. And General Flynn and I both agreed that the propaganda needs to be stopped in its tracks for the good of our country. So here's what General Flynn is posting all over the world. Quote, we all have to be very careful not to fall for the fear factor. What we need to do is encourage voting at all costs. Despite what the left, the corporate media, or the false prophets of doom and gloom say, people must vote like our constitutional republic depends on it. It does. Be very careful of the Chicken Little callers among us. The sky is not falling. The sky, the light, is exposing the darkness that besets America. That light will bring great victory for us in the coming days. Pray. General Michael Flynn. Folks, take that to heart. Take that to heart. Vote. Get others you know to vote. Educate those that are still warped into this propaganda mess that the lamestream keeps spewing. Educate them. It's never too late. Empower them. Because our country and our constitutional republic is on the line. And if you just say, well, I don't know, it's worth it for me to vote, then look at any child around you. Because if you don't vote, and you might not like Trump or what he says or how he says it, but if you look at his agenda and you look at this totalitarian thug agenda that's on the line on the other side, if you don't value that child's life that you're looking at, then you won't vote. It's on you. And as I mentioned, this is the easy part. The hard part comes after November 5, after Tuesday, because the totalitarian thug cult will do anything and everything between November 5 and January 20th to make it as difficult as possible for Trump to take that oath. And one way they're planning on making it difficult, listen to me, is take the financial system down. The dollar down, the U.S. economy down. And you need to protect yourself. And that's why it was imperative for me to have the person who has stood up for your economic and financial freedom at the head of the class, Adriana Reed, here today. For those of you not familiar with Adriana, she has been with the Camino Company since 2011 as a trader. The best, most honest precious metals company on the planet. And she is one of the principals in the Camino Company and one of the most knowledgeable and honest people in the precious metals arena. Camino, C-A-M-I-N-O, CaminoCompany.com. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome back Adriana Reed. Adriana, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Show.
Always a pleasure, Dave.
So, Adriana, Elon Musk, a former neighbor of yours in the San Francisco area, who's since now moved to Texas, I want your take on this. He weighed in and publicly agreed that Kamala Harris is actually, quote, quite literally a communist. She wants not merely equal opportunity, but she pushes equal outcomes, which is the bedrock of communism. Adriana, your take.
You know, Dave, I agree 100% with that. I think what people need to realize, there's a difference between setting everybody up to run the same race and you're going to have different finishes versus giving the offer of everybody having the same finish, no matter what the race takes. And the thing is the American way is we're built on a capitalist, free market capitalist society where those who work hard and are prosperous, basically, is just work ethic and working hard, putting your head down, grinding, and fulfilling your own dreams, and that's the American dream. And that's what Elon's referencing, is just we don't want everybody to have the same outcome. I don't want to go to work every single day to pay for the guy who sleeps on his couch all day long, when I have 4 kids. So, when we talk about communism comes through taxes and taking from people who have worked as hard as they have to get what they need. And that's where he's referencing it. And I do agree with that. I think we're on a very high risk of becoming a communist country, especially also if you look at a lot of the policies that she's offered. We have unrealized capital gains, which will take it and wipe out the middle class. And she should know that. And then on top of that, you also have her offering, or I should say bribing people and first-time homeowners with $25,000. Well, inflation is going rampant right now as it is. And so where's that money going to come from when you have a country that's $37 trillion in debt, and then we're offering more money? It's just going to fall back on the American people in the name of inflation, or then also we're going to increase taxes to make sure that inflation stays down and the dollar doesn't keep decreasing. So, if you really look at what we're up against, it's true. We're up against a communist regime, and that's what we need to avoid. As we've seen, communism may look good on paper, but history says it never works with human nature.
And Adriana, Kamala Harris and her campaign is out there saying, the economy's fine. Oh, inflation, it's just a little bit, but the employment situation is great. So really, my policies aren't going to be any different than Joe Biden's policies for the most part. And then she'll say in the next turn, well, maybe I will change some policies. But when she's pushed, I want to play a brief clip for you of what she said on The View, no less, when she was asked, well, wait a minute, you've been with Joe Biden for 4 years now. What exactly would you do different? And, well, let's just play the clip and get your take.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
And that includes on the economy, Adriana. And in fact, just some recent data on the economy, our federal deficit is now $1.8 trillion every year. Yeah. Total debt is approaching $36 trillion. We have a total interest cost of $1.1 trillion. They just presented yet more fabricated employment numbers. The employment numbers were horrible. They were supposed to be 150,000 jobs created. On Friday, they came out and said, no, actually, it was 12,000. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. Because of the 12,000 created, 40,000 came from government. In other words, there was 28,000 jobs lost in the private sector. But it's actually worse than that, because to get to that number, they added 360,000 bogus jobs through the birth-death model. So in other words, the economy last month lost over 350,000 jobs. And she's saying, it's fine. I'm not going to do anything different. Adriana, your take.
It sounds like somebody who's just sitting up in the White House and doesn't care for the American people as it is. And that's the concern that I have is, if inflation was truly at 2.4%, we wouldn't see families, picking and choosing what they're buying at the grocery store. You and I were on the ground, when you go to buy a car, when you go to buy a house, when you go to buy food, the daily necessities, look at your electricity bill, look at your water bill. All of these things make a huge difference in the livelihood of the average family. And the issue that you have with elitists like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden is that they don't care about the perspective of the little person. And when I say little people, I'm talking about 90% of Americans, because most Americans just want to wake up, go to work every day, take care of their family, and live simple lives. And I believe that to be true. And the issue that you have is we also have with unemployment the way it is. When you don't tell people the truth about the economy, they can't prepare for what that's going to look like in years to come, because we will start to see us go from recession to depression if we don't acknowledge it for what it truly is. But it also takes away the middle class, because they're the ones who have to bear the burden of not being able to pay for things. They're the ones who are going to have to say, hey, look, your wife may have been at home with the kids, and now you have to go get a job because we can't make ends meet anymore. And then when you lie about unemployment, we also don't get to see the true trajectory of the economy and what it's supposed to look like. And that's where you get these, kind of shocking crashes like what happened in 2008, 1987, these types of things, when we're dishonest about the reality of the situation.
And Adriana, when we look at what's happening in the financial world, the bond market is in big trouble right now.
Yes.
And they're setting this up. The timing is not a coincidence. It's all planned. The plan, as I understand it, is Trump could well win significantly. And then their plan is to take the economy down and blame the fact that Trump, and this is already planned, it was all because Trump won in such a decisive manner. And so Adriana, I want to get ahead of the curve for our listeners. I want you to discuss how they can protect themselves with the best financial insurance policy they can put their arms around to protect themselves and their hard-earned wages and savings that they have painstakingly put together in spite of a system that is built against them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, basically what I do is my hope for everybody that I help is that I help you get through the worst of times. I'm not trying to make people filthy rich. That's not my job. My job is to take the money that you have worked your whole life for to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere, because that's what crashes are meant for, is to take money from you. And, as I get older, I'm not as naive as I was when I was a kid. And now you realize that everything is planned, just like you said, that it's not by accident. It's not by fault. We're up against the house and they're playing with house money, and, we do our best to get by. So my goal is to get everybody some precious metals. By putting your money in gold and silver, what you're doing is you're betting on yourself. And I've always been adamant about it. It's the very thing I tell my children, is to bet on yourself, because you're the one who can always help yourself to win. And so by getting precious metals, by buying gold, you can put yourself in safe haven investments, and silver as well, that if things go really, really south, that, when that time comes, you can pull that gold coin out and you can make your mortgage payment. When that time comes, you can pay for the trip that maybe you and your family wanted to take. While everybody's dollars are decreasing rapidly, you're going to be in a very good position. And that's my goal, is to just protect people so that you have this lifeboat, as you and I call it, for a safe haven for when the time comes.
And Adriana, many of our listeners are constantly told by their, quote, financial advisors, end quote, that it's very difficult to purchase physical gold and silver. And if you are going to buy gold and silver, just buy the paper kind, where you buy a mining shares, or you buy what are called ETFs, exchange traded funds. But buying physical gold and silver is much too difficult and complicated. Now, you and the folks at Comito make it very easy, very transparent, very forthright. Educate our listeners, and then educate us about where we are with the supply and demand of gold and silver that you're seeing.
Absolutely. So we're seeing supply is still incredibly accessible. So I think it's a very good time to make sure that you have a little bit on hand, especially since we also, we just have to prepare for Tuesday, either outcome, and be prepared for what that will look like. As far as supply goes, like I said, it's accessible and ready to go. We are experiencing a very high volume of orders right now. So, shipping is a little bit backed up, but it's only like a day or two at this point in time. And as far as the ordering itself, we're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4. You just give us a call. We can go over how much money you have to spend, what items we think will be best for you. Right now, as always, I do encourage you to own a little bit of both as best you can. For those that gold is now kind of out of reach, then you just stay in silver, and that's a great place to be as well. And once you place the order, we lock in all the prices. One of the things I want to be very clear about is that once you place an order with us and we lock the price in, the price does not fluctuate for anything. It doesn't fluctuate if it takes 2 days to get your payment from mail, say you send a check, or when the check gets deposited, we won't ask for more money. I want to be very clear on that, that we're very much about our word. And once we lock the price in, you make the payment, then we're going to ship you the metals. This is kind of critical for me right now, especially as we head into the election, and also what that's going to look like for the next 3 months would be my main concern, is that you have it on hand in a home storage situation so that it's accessible to you if you need it, and that you're ready to go. The main thing is we don't want to put it back into a safety deposit box or the banks. We're trying to get our money out of the banks because, banks have become, I live here in Silicon Valley, and I watch Silicon Valley go from one of what was, quote, the richest banks in the Bay Area to filing bankruptcy themselves and having their, individuals that banked there were standing outside the door getting numbers just like the Depressionary times. So just prepare for that. Home storage is the best way to go. And right now, you can never be over prepared, in my opinion. We don't want our eggs in one basket, but I do recommend having this on hand. I tell people you don't want to go all in on anything, but just preparation.
Adriana, when you mentioned Camino's open 8:30 to 4, that's Pacific time. So if you're on Eastern time, that would be 11:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., correct?
Correct. Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Now, educate our listeners, because this needs to be repeated several times. How do they get in touch with you? Email, phone, website?
Yeah, so you can reach us at 800-348-8001. You can also head over to CaminoCompany.com. We have a 24/7 store where you can place an order with us. You can also email me directly. Sometimes, just in case, it's better if you call, but because sometimes I can get ransacked with emails. So sometimes just giving us a ring at 800-348-8001 is the best way to go. But if you do want to contact me personally, it's adriana@CaminoCompany.com. Again, we're open Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 to 4, Monday through Friday.
Adriana, what's the biggest mistake people make when it comes to physical precious metals?
Dave, back in 2016, 17, you and I started coming on the show and encouraging people to start prepping. And, the thing is that we push it off. I'll get it next time. I'm doing well. My portfolio looks good. I'm fine. I'll do it next time. And then you start delaying. And then now we see that COVID hit and a lot of different things are coming down the line, and the economy is a major concern of mine. And the thing is if don't wait. It's just, this is a small portion of something that you can have that's just going to be the lifeboat that when you turn to it, you're going to thank God that you bought it. And that's what I'm adamant about. So don't wait. Get a little bit in your hands. You can even start in small increments, but there's no better time than now to just get the job done. I know you sleep better at night. I sleep better at night. Our worries are minimal because we have the security blanket that we need for when they try to take us down.
And Adriana, folks need to look at what the big boys are doing. Sovereign countries. Just in the past several weeks, Russia plans to buy even more silver. India's and silver imports are up 715% year to date. Saudi central bank caught secretly buying 160 tons of gold in Switzerland. Russia will not only increase their silver purchases, they're increasing their gold purchases on a daily basis. Adriana, one more time. How do folks follow with you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, head over to CaminoCompany.com or give us a call, like I said, 8:30 to 4 Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, at 800-348-8001.
Adriana Reed, I would like to thank you and everyone at the Camino Company for creating a financial insurance lifeboat